The girls ran whenever they saw the king. The king is coming. Run. Once upon a time, in a village called Aura, there lived a man whose name alone could make hearts tremble, King Adinka. He was a powerful ruler, and his word was law. When he spoke, people bowed. When he walked through the village, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. No one dared to argue with him, because whatever the king wanted, he took. King Adinka lived in a great palace, guarded day and night by strong warriors. He already had many wives, so many that people had lost count. Some whispered 40. Others said 50. His children filled the palace like birds on the branches of a giant tree. Yet, the king was never satisfied. There was an old rule in Aura that everyone knew. If the king saw a girl and desired her, she became his wife. She could not refuse. Her parents could not protect her. There was no hiding, no begging, no escape. She is mine, the king would say. And that was the end. Because of this, the girls of Aura lived in fear. They did not fear wild animals. They did not fear warriors or thieves. They feared their own king, because at any moment, he could choose one of them and take her to the palace. Many girls did not want that life. So whenever the king passed through the village, the girls ran. They slipped into houses and shut their doors. They hid behind walls and trees, hearts pounding. Some covered their faces. Others prayed silently. They prayed the king's eyes would look elsewhere, because once he pointed at a girl, her life was no longer her own. There was only one thing that could keep a girl safe. If she was not a virgin, the king could not marry her. Mothers reminded their daughters of this rule every day, and it shaped the lives of every girl in Aura. At the edge of the village, where Aura met the forest, lived Adisha, an 18-year-old girl with soft eyes and a gentle smile. She was her parents' only child, quiet, thoughtful, and fond of peace. The air around her home was calm. Birds sang. Trees whispered. Adisha loved the quiet. Like all girls, she knew the rule. When the king comes, you hide. She had done it many times before, running into the house, slipping into the trees, anywhere the king could not see her. But on this day, she forgot. Because on this day, Adisha was not thinking about fear. She was thinking about Tunde. Tunde was a young man from the village with kind eyes and a laugh that sounded like music. He helped his mother in the market, carrying heavy baskets without complaint. Whenever Adisha saw him, her heart fluttered like a small bird. That morning, Tunde had smiled at her. Just a small smile, but it stayed in her thoughts all day. Now she stood by the road, thinking about his voice, his walk, the way sunlight touched his face. What if one day we get married? She whispered, blushing at her own thoughts. She was so lost in her dream that she did not hear the warning drums. She did not hear mothers calling their daughters. She did not see the girls running for safety. The village fell silent. But Adisha kept smiling to herself, thinking of Tunde. Then she felt it. A heavy presence. The air changed. Her heart began to race. A chill ran through her body. Slowly, very slowly, she lifted her head. And there he was. King Adinka, standing in the middle of the road, staring directly at her. Adisha froze. Her feet would not move. Her breath caught in her throat. Her dream of Tunde vanished like smoke in the wind. All her life, she had run from the king. But this time, love had made her forget to hide. The king stepped closer, his royal beads heavy on his chest, his eyes sharp and cold. "She is beautiful," he said calmly. "I want her." Before Adisha could speak, the guards seized her arms. "Wait," she cried. "Please." A woman ran out screaming. "My king! My king! She is my child, please." The king raised his hand. "Enough," he said. "I have chosen." Odesha was dragged away as her mother fell to the ground, wailing. The palace was beautiful, but to Odesha it felt cold, like a place where joy could never grow. Tall pillars stretched toward the sky. The walls were painted in bright colors, and the floors shone so brightly she could see her own reflection in them. Servants moved like shadows, quiet, careful, never daring to speak loudly. When Odisha arrived, the palace women surrounded her at once. Their smiles were gentle, but their hands were firm. They bathed her in warm water scented with crushed leaves. They rubbed sweet oil into her skin and dressed her in fine cloth and heavy beads. "You'll be fine," one woman said softly. "Many girls were brought here like you, and they learned to live as the king's wife." Odisha said nothing. Inside her chest, fear grew like a rising storm. She thought of her mother's arms, her father's jokes, and Tunde's smile. Her throat tightened. Her heart ached. Far away, in their small clay house, her parents sat in silence. Her mother cried until her voice broke. "My only child," she whispered. "They have taken our future from her." Her father stared at the wall, tears rolling down his face. "What power do we have?" he asked weakly. "The king has chosen. No one refuses him. Once he points at you, that is the end." Soon, neighbors heard the news. Some came to sit quietly beside them, offering comfort. Others whispered outside. "It is an honor," some said. "But she is still a child," others replied. Back in the palace, Odisha was never left alone. If she sat, someone watched. If she walked, footsteps followed. Even when she cried softly. That same night, the virginity test was done. The chief priest, an old man with tired eyes, spoke to the spirits and examined her carefully. Then he nodded. "She is pure." With those 3 words, her fate was sealed. The wedding was set for 3 days later. 3 short days. When Odisha heard this, her body began to shake. Her hands trembled. Her lips quivered. She tried to hold her tears, but they slipped out and fell onto her dress. At first she whispered, "I don't want this." Then the whisper became a cry. "I don't want this," she sobbed. "I want my life. I want my dreams. I want my heart." But the world did not answer. Her mother was not there to hold her. Her father was not there to wipe her tears. Tunde was not there to promise safety. Only the palace listened, and the palace did not care. That night, Odisha lay on the softest bed she had ever known. The sheets were smooth. The room smelled of flowers. She hugged herself and closed her eyes. "I just want to be free," she whispered into the darkness. And somewhere deep inside her, a small fire of courage began to grow. After days of begging and crying at the palace gate, Odisha's mother was finally allowed to see her. The moment she saw her daughter, she pulled her into a long, tight embrace and began to cry. Her tears soaked Odisha's hair. "My daughter," she whispered. "There is a way." Odisha lifted her head, confused. "What way, Mama? Please, I don't want to marry the king." Her mother looked around carefully to be sure no one was listening. "If you are no longer pure," she said quietly, "the king cannot marry you. It is the law." Odisha's eyes widened. "I know the law," she said. "But I cannot sleep with a man. I cannot do that." Her mother nodded slowly. "I know. And I would never ask that of you." They sat together in silence, holding hands. Then her mother spoke again. "Outside Aura lives an old woman. She has a potion. You will drink it. It will not take your virginity, but it will confuse the spirits and make it seem as though you are no longer pure." Odisha hesitated, but she trusted her mother. Her mother promised to return before the wedding. She kissed Odisha's forehead and left. That same night, she went to the old woman, carrying a small lock of Odisha's hair as instructed. She would do anything to save her child. She had seen what life as the king's wife truly was, and she did not want that fate for her daughter. The old woman burned herbs and whispered strange words into the wind. At last, she prepared the potion. A kind palace maid, terrified but loyal, agreed to deliver it in secret. "If they find out, I will die," the maid whispered. But she took it anyway. Adesha's hands trembled as she drank the potion. Soon, pain flooded her body. She cried out as blood began to flow, and by the laws of Aura, she was no longer fit. The king could not marry her. The wedding day arrived. People gathered from every corner of Aura. Drums echoed through the village. Women wore bright clothes. Men stood tall. Children whispered, pointing toward the palace. Inside, Odesha stood quietly. She did not smile. She did not speak. She waited. Before the ceremony began, the chief priest stepped forward for the final test. Then he froze. His eyes widened. His hands shook. She is not a virgin. Gasps tore through the crowd like wind through dry leaves. The drums stopped. The singers fell silent. The king rose to his feet, his face burning with rage. "Who touched her?" he roared. No one answered. Odesha kept her lips closed. She chose silence, even as fear clawed at her heart. At last, the king thundered, "Take this shame away from my palace." Odesha was dragged to the palace jail, beaten and tortured for defying the king's will. When they were done, they threw her out. Her hair was loose. Her clothes were torn. Her body was weak. But her spirit still stood. At dawn, Odesha packed a few clothes into a small bundle. Her mother held her tightly and would not let go. "My child," her mother whispered, "you must leave. Learn. Grow stronger. One day, return stronger than today." Odesha looked at Aura, the red roads, the trees, the houses she loved. "I will return," she said quietly. "And when I do, this tradition will end." Then Odesha turned and walked away, step by step, into a new future. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more.